Welcome to another episode of The Good Listening To Show, your life and times with me, Chris Grimes, the storytelling show that features The Clearing, where all good questions come to get asked and all good stories come to be told. And where all my guests have two things in common. They're all creative individuals and all with an interesting story to tell. There are some lovely storytelling metaphors, a clearing, a tree, a juicy storytelling exercise called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, some alchemy, some gold, a cheeky bit of Shakespeare and a cake. So it's all to play for. So yes, welcome to The Good Listening To Show, your life and times with me, Chris Grimes. Are you sitting comfortably? Then we shall begin. Yes, indeed. A gleeful and joyful day here in The Good Listening To, clearing stories of distinction and genius. It is my immense joy to be welcoming Gurdeep Pandher of the Yukon. Hurrah! And just to be clear, he's not a panda. Pandher is his second name. So it's Gurdeep Pandher of the Yukon. Have I pronounced your name correctly, Gurdeep?
Correct pronunciation of my name is Gurdeep Pandher. Yes, of course, of the Yukon too, but you are very close. And there are so many different pronunciations of my name too. But if you want to hear in a very, very pure way, it's Gurdeep Pandher.
Gurdeep Pandher of the Yukon. And by the way, you came to my attention because of stumbling across delightfully a wonderful man who's become a real dear friend of yours, I'm assuming, Patrick Dexter, who is the Irish cellist that during the pandemic went viral by going outside of his West Island home with his cello, started to play his cello with the Atlantic coast of Ireland in his backdrop, and he went viral. And Gurdeep similarly has gone viral during the pandemic, but for different reasons. You use the gift of Bangrah dancing to bring joy, optimism, and happiness, which you spread by not the bucket load, but it's normally on a frozen lake in the extraordinary ice-scapes of Canada. So it's sort of, when you see you on Twitter and everything, it's like nom, 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 nom. You want to be there scratching through the screen to sort of feel some of that cold, but it's a beautiful thing that you do.
Thank you so much, Chris, for your kind, warm, and thoughtful words. I appreciate it. Yes, Dexter, Patrick Dexter, he is my good friend, and we became friends during the peak of pandemic. It's during the time when he invited me to do that collaboration. And in that collaborative video, he played his cello from his cabin in Ireland, and I danced Bangrah from my cabin in the Yukon territory in Canada. And so many people appreciated that video of us. Yes, during the time of pandemic, I've been making videos by dancing Bangrah in the wilderness, in the forest around my cabin, and in the beautiful locations of the Yukon. And it has been my truly an honor to spread the cheer that way.
Wonderful. And in fact, I read a beautiful tweet where you said, yesterday I got my COVID vaccination, so I went to a frozen lake to dance Bangrah on it for joy, hope and positivity, which I'm forwarding across Canada and beyond. And I just thought that was so beautiful. You immediately you make people smile as soon as they see you, because you are just joy personified. And for those listening, and you must look at some wonderful pictures of Gurdeep as well. You're wearing the most beautiful orange, almost day glow turban, which features particularly well when you've got a snowscape or ice lake backdrop.
The color, creates a really wonderful contrast, because in the Yukon we get snow for 8 or 7 months in a year, and it's very cold, it's very dark, and snow is it has a very unique white color, and these bright colors, such as my turban, it creates such a contrast, which looks really great in that backdrop. Mm-hmm.
And if I may, you're also wearing a Good Vibes t-shirt, which makes complete sense because of the good vibes you spread, but it also looks like it could be a Newcastle United team top but I'm sure it's not.
No, it's not anything. Um, it's just coincidentally I found this t-shirt from a store, but I do believe in good vibrations too, and it perfectly aligns with my message.
And by the way, with the snow as your backdrop, was it always a happy coincidence? Have you always worn a signature orange turban, or do you have an array of different colours you wear?
Most of the times I worn orange turban, but I do have other colors too, such as red, maroon, blue, some other colors too. But this has become my signature color, and I wear orange most of the times.
And by the way, there's going to be a deliberate invitation to get everyone to go stampeding towards your Twitter feed and to find out all about you and more about you on the internet at the end. But it is my great joy and delight, sincerely, to invite you along to the clearing. And I'm going to bounce you through all the storytelling metaphors of a clearing, a tree. There'll be apples, a couple of random squirrels, a cheeky bit of Shakespeare and a cake. So it's all to play for. You do look like you've frozen at the moment. Are you still with me? Oh. That's very interesting. You've frozen on the most delightful smile, but it looked a bit too still in a way that was starting to unnerve me. Ladies and gentlemen, we've temporarily lost Gurdeep Pandher of the Yukon. Oh, he's back. Wonderful.
Yes, I'm back. Miracle of technology.
I'm back. And it's wonderful to have you back. So I could tell that something weird went on there. Don't worry, I can edit that bit off, but I was just saying that it's my joy to invite you through the normal construct of the Good Listening To show. You really do have a story of distinction and genius to tell. It's so lovely what you do. It's a true delight. So shall we get you on the open road of a clearing, a tree, alchemy, gold, a couple of random squirrels, a cheeky bit of Shakespeare, and a cake? It's all to play for.
I totally admire the way you construct your show. The clearing, the alchemy, the gold, the cheeky bit of Shakespeare, squirrels, and that stick, the Benton.
Lovely. So let's do this. This is going to be a true deal. I'm already having such a good time. This is wonderful. So it may be the Canadian wilderness, but I don't know. Here we go. It's up to you. Where is a clearing or serious happy place for you, Gurdeep? Where do you go to get clutter-free, inspirational, and able to think?
My clearing place is very simple because I started to live at a clearing place. Many years ago, I found a cabin in the wilderness of the Yukon by a river. It's a peaceful place. It's surrounded by the forest, and my that little cottage without running water is my clearing place. I often travel to different locations across country, across Canada and beyond to do different events, and I meet so many people. And then I go back to my cabin to find my clearing, to find my joy, and that is my best place to find that peace.
And just to go back a step, how did you stumble upon your clearing way back when? What brought you to the clearing?
Many years ago, I was my mind was also flooded with different thoughts. Different things were going in my life and in my mind, and I was looking for a place where I can ground myself. I tried different things. I tried living in different places, different towns, different cities. Then I think this was a universal call for me to start exploring a place which is totally surrounded by nature, which is totally surrounded by forest, where there's a total peace. And then I started looking for a cabin in the Yukon territory. Uh, there's a strong friends network. There's a strong community network. So I started asking people. People helped me finding this place. So that's how my journey started. Me being confused, being lost, and then finding my clearing, and then finding that effort, working towards that effort. Because when you need to go somewhere, you need to do some work. You need to create some plan, and then you need to put your sincere effort towards that goal. So I'm glad that many years ago I did that, and I found that place, and now I am there.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
From what I've read about it, it's truly off-grid in that you said it at the time it didn't have running water, but is it a very cozy dwelling, or is it actually as cold as it might sound if it's completely off-grid?
It's Yes, it's off grid, but I do have internet and electricity over there. That's important. But I don't have many other facilities. I don't have any plumbing. I don't have any indoor shower or any other facilities. And 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 I find it cozy actually. I find
Yes.
it's very cozy because during winter times when it snows everywhere and it's a dead winter, it's fragile winter, uh, and when I look through windows outside at the nature, it looks really marvelous. It looks really peaceful. And by seeing that peace, by experiencing that peace in the middle of minus 35 or minus
Wow.
40 degrees Celsius, I feel that coziness. I feel that warmth.
And now you've described the temperature of minus 30, 35. That's probably why you do Bangrah dancing, to keep warm, I would say.
You're absolutely right, because Bhangra dancing is a happy dance, but it's a great workout too. Like I also do my dancing to warm myself up. It creates energy, it creates movement.
Yeah.
It's like exercise too. So it's helpful in both ways.
And you've done some amazing stuff. I just saw a film of you teaching Canadian soldiers in a firefighting training base using Bangrah dancing. So you go all over the place with such a diverse, rich mix of communities to share your joy through the gift of Bangrah dancing.
Yes, I do. Yes, that is a beautiful memory when I went to teach Bhangra dance to Canadian soldiers at a Canadian Armed Forces base. And they spent one full day with me learning this and then making a video. And then we went to a Navy ship where we danced together. And that video became so popular. It became so popular. It was even shared by our Prime Minister on his social media. So
Wow.
yes, and not only that, I also danced with indigenous people in the Yukon. I went to Old Crow, which is close to Arctic Ocean in the Yukon, where I danced Bhangra, and I created a video dancing with the indigenous chief from Old Crow, which is from Wanted Gwich'in First Nation here in Canada in the Yukon.
Yeah.
And I also traveled across the country and went to different communities to spread this message of joy, hope, and positivity, and to connect people in person, because I like to connect people in person too, because it's great to have social media platforms. It's great to have those channels to spread messages or to share the videos,
Mm.
but it's so wonderful when you meet people in person. And I also did with some police officers, some firefighters, people who are doing some other good community work. During the peak of pandemic, I danced with nurses, doctors. I went to hospitals. Um, it has been very fulfilling to do it.
Wonderful. And good on you for applying such a positive trade. And also, what a brilliant thing to be doing. It's just lovely.
It's I would say that's soul fulfilling to share and also to learn from them, because it brings people together wherever I go by sharing this art of dance. It creates joy because we live in such a world where there's a lot of suffering, there's a lot of sadness going on. We live busy lifestyle. There's a lot of tension going on everywhere in our lives and in the world, and just creating joy. just creating smile. It's so good for our mental health. It's so good to bring people together.
And you're obviously a very connected public figure, but where you live, then your clearing is also quite an isolated place. So obviously you like to go without and within.
Yeah, I like both places. I like meeting people too, interacting with them, and then I also go back to my cabin. Like whenever I'm done with my sessions, I go back to my cabin in the Yukon. That is my clearing place where I breathe, relax, sleep, eat, think, do some writing, uh, look at the birds, look at trees, look at stars. From my place, when I look at stars at night, they look so clear. It's bright clear. Uh, that provides me immensely such a clearing that I always feel so grateful for.
So if I may, I'm going to now ask your permission to intrude slightly in your lovely isolated off-grid clearing by arriving with a tree. I know you've got lots of beautiful trees around you, but I'm going to existentially a bit Waiting for Godot-esque Samuel Beckett arrive with a tree to shake your tree to see which storytelling apples fall out. How'd you like these apples? And this is where you've been kind enough to have taken 5 minutes to have thought about 4 things that have shaped you, 3 things that inspire you, 2 things that never fail to grab your attention. That's where the random squirrels come in. And then a quirky or unusual fact about you, Gurdeep Pandher, we couldn't possibly know about you until you tell us. So how would you like to interpret that exercise?
I think your exercise is so wonderful. Like it's a very visual description of your style, and you add these elements: tree, Benton, cake, Shakespeare, alchemy, everything. It creates a beautiful structure, and I am totally in love with this.
That's so generous of you. Thank you. So over to you then. What are the 4 things that have shaped you then?
4 things. First, I would like to say that nature is number 1. I am so much in love with nature. That shaped me. That shaped my dance. That shaped the way I spread my messages through social media. That shaped my thought process. That brought me to the place where I am right now. That is number 1. Number 2 is my dance. My Bangrah dance. It shaped me a lot. I could not imagine my life without this dance form. Uh, it's so fulfilling for my personal joy too, for my personal healing too, because like I'm a human too. I go through different challenges, different struggles, um, lows and highs at the same time. So whenever I'm feeling low, I dance. I dance it immensely. Immediately brings me joy. It immediately brings me peace. So it shaped me, my life, and then I share it with the world. I share it with the people. And third, which shaped me, that is people like yourself. People, because although I live in an isolated cabin in the Yukon, it's very remote, but I also like meeting people whenever I can get a chance. And I receive lots and lots of letters from people at my cabin. They tell me my videos. They tell me about different things they do in their life. And it's amazing that we live in the time of internet these days, where sending a message is so easy. You just type a few words or record a message and it's gone. But I appreciate that people take time to write a letter, real letter, and mail it to me. So people inspired me. Their messages to me inspired me. And fourthly and finally, writing. I love to write too. Although my writing is not published, it's more like personal diaries or personal journals. But I do write. I do like to consolidate my ideas about all the things, about the messages I spread through social media. I talk about sadness because sadness is opposite to joy.
Yes.
Why people need joy? Because there's a sadness. I write about that, and then I write uh, how we can achieve joy, hope, and positivity. And I also write about nature. Write about people. I write about different things that happen to me. So people, nature, dance, and writing, these are the four things that shaped me.
And the very obvious thing to say is implicitly you are already writing your book on the daily. It just seems like a natural thing is to just publish your philosophy because you're living it. And so the fact you're living it and scribing about it, it would almost be a book that's ready to go, I would say.
I'm also in process of writing a book too. Probably in next year in 2024, people will see a book from me, and this book will be all about joy, hope, healing, and positivity. And whenever everything is done, uh, and I look forward to sharing this book with the world.
And by the way, spookily enough, I do have a good book series strand, so we'll bring you back when it's time to put the book on a metaphorical plinth within the clearing and read an extract about your wonderful life philosophy of optimism. And do you have a title can you give us a world exclusive by making up a title?
So far, we haven't decided any title because this is still in very first stage. But by this winter, I will have some more ideas about the title. I have different titles in my mind, 4 or 5 top ones, but I think I'll be able to decide in next couple of months.
You can have the philosophy of Gurdeep through the gift of Bangrah, as a free gift from me. So that's your so that's your foreshaping. Now, 3 things that inspire you. If there's any overlap, that doesn't matter. But what would you say 3 things that inspire you the most?
It's a good question as well. I would say that friends, uh, they inspire me. I have a really great community of friends, and when I say friends, they are people who may not know me in person, and they inspire me. They inspire me. They give me feedback whenever I create something, create a video. Sometimes I show them to them, and they send me their feedback. And my community in the Yukon territory, they inspire me. So friends, my community, they inspire me. And secondly, uh, I like to talk about it that sometimes I have my own vulnerability. Sometimes I have that state of my own nervousness when feel those fears, and I think they are so important. I know that we like to run away from them. We don't want to see them, but during those moments, it gives me great inspiration. It gives me it it allows me to think the way I don't think otherwise.
So you're saying you're embracing your own vulnerability when it emerges.
Yes, whenever it emerges in my life, I embrace it. Even if sometimes I don't want to embrace it, I try my best to embrace it because through that lens, I see some more possibilities. I
Mhm.
see uh, because I spread these messages of hope and positivity. And it gives me a reflection why that hope is important. Because in our communities, in our country, in the world, so many people face those moments every single day. They are vulnerable, they are fearful, they are challenged, they are facing struggles, they are going through tough times. And whenever I go through that, and I think many things deeply from my heart, and new ways, new possibilities, new ways to inspire myself, new ways to inspire other people. And it allows me to find strategies to deal with that. It allows me to find a way to cope with that. And it also reminds me to find my own humble place. Because eventually we all want to go to our own humble place where we stay grounded, we stay low, we stay in a way that while you are having all those good things, successes, other things, you don't forget yourself. You don't forget that at the end of the day, you're also a human.
Yes.
At the end of the day, you have family, you have friends, you have other expectations. So, and my own vulnerability, it inspires me in a great way. And thirdly, which is totally opposite to it, joy.
Of course.
It inspires it inspires me too, because at the end of the day, doesn't matter what I go through, I resolve that I come to the place of joy, because I find that joy is important to find at the end of the day. It's okay to be sad, but it's not okay to stay sad for a long time. So joy also inspires me too.
And what's so obvious about you is that you always find a recalibration back to a sort of factory default setting of joy. And Bangrah is the way of getting there.
Pressing the reset button.
With a bit of cheeky Bangrah. And now, a couple of random squirrels. So what are your squirrels of distraction? Oh, squirrels, what never fails to grab your attention, irrespective of whatever else, joyful or otherwise, may be going on for you?
My squirrels. Actually, my squirrels are very positive things, very, very positive things. Trees, they always distract me in a good way, in a wonderful way. Whether I'm walking or I am doing something or I'm dancing, sometimes I stop and I start to look at the trees around me. I find a great friendship with the trees because I live among the trees and I go and I hug them. I feel the love, I feel the joy, and they distract me in such a positive way, which is very, very healing and motivating.
Love it.
Secondly, thank you. Secondly, I find positive distraction from water. Wherever whether I'm in the forest, I'm driving or doing something else, as soon as I see a lake, a pond, a river, anything, or maybe some water falling from anywhere, it makes me to stop and look at this. And water is so important. It's so important for our existence. It's so important for everything. And water heals me, it grounds me, it brings me to the place, it brings me to my happy place. So trees and water, they are my positive, happy, and wonderful distractions, and they are my squares.
Lovely. And you sound profoundly elemental. You're driven by nature, water, trees, which give us the oxygen. So yes, it makes complete sense to you. The philosophy of Gurdeep, as I've already said. And now a quirky or unusual fact about you we couldn't possibly know until you tell us.
I had to think a lot about it, but I found an answer. That's a good news. Um, Many people think about me that I'm very social person. Like I go to different events. I talk to sometimes thousands of people. Then so many people come to take photos and to talk, and I'm so happy, always excited to meet them, which is great. But I feel that I'm quite an introvert and shy person.
That's
Uh,
very, very profound. And when you said thousands, are you sometimes in stadiums where you're in front of about 1,000 people, or you mean just a day when you might meet 1,000 people?
Yeah. When I'm performing, I'm conducting my workshop. Sometimes more than 1,000, many thousands. I meet them, see them, and I'm so excited to talk to them. But at deep core of my heart, I feel that I am actually introvert. I'm actually very shy, and that is the fact. Because when I was in school, when I was a student, as a young boy, I used to be very introvert at that time. Uh, and and in some ways, I find it great because it helps me creating a balance, and it helps me uh, think one or two or three times, or maybe 10 times before I talk or say anything, do anything, because at the end of the day, that shyness kicks in. So that is, I would say, despite all those shows, meetings, workshops, sessions, or everything happens in my life, at the end of the day, I find that I'm an introvert and shy person.
And how perfect that at the end of the day, as you've just said beautifully, as a segue back to your clearing where you go to re-energize and re-galvanize the joy that you find within.
That is so true. That is so true. It's like a, pendulum. Yeah, sometimes it goes this way, and then once you are done with your things, and then it goes other way. Then it goes this way, and that go other way. And I think this is very important for balance in our life. Like we everywhere. Sometimes if it's too much sunny, hot day, we want some cold, some rain, and then the rain comes, it becomes cold. Then we say that, oh, no, I want hot weather again.
Yes.
And then hot weather comes, sunshine happens. Then we go back to that expectation that, oh, cold was better.
And by the way, you're pushing on an open door there. Here in the UK, we're a nation full of people who've grown about the weather, irrespective of what it is. So it's too hot, it's too cold. We're like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. It's never just right.
Here in Canada too, the weather, it fluctuates so quickly, so
Mind you, we don't go
frequently.
to minus 35, which you obviously are very accustomed to. So that's what I would call cold. And where's my jumper? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just go. So to make sure that we drive the narrative along, now we've shaken your tree. Hurrah! Now we move away from the tree. We stay in the clearing. Next, we're going to talk about alchemy and gold, please. So when you're at purpose and in flow, what are you absolutely happiest doing? Gurdeep, Pandher of the Yukon.
When I am at purpose and in flow, what absolutely happiest I'm doing. All right. In that time, I am at a very remote place in the Yukon. There are two places comes to my mind. One is Kluane Mountain, which is a national park in the Yukon. It's a very popular national park. I'm exploring nature there, or maybe dancing Bhangra over there too. Uh, Maybe by myself, maybe with a friend, uh, and uh, and that makes me immensely happy. Or I'm at my favorite hike. I'm on the top of my mountain, which I love, um, and uh, and uh, and it's the time when I'm super duper happy and super duper at the clearing stage, and I'm with a purpose, and I'm in a flow, I'm in a mood. I set my music, and I'll give you a taste of that music too,
Yes, please.
and I will like this, like this, like
Here we go.
this. Yes. So it happens
Thank you. That was a beautiful musical interlude. I love that.
Thank you very much.
And that's the bass line of the Bangrah dancing can just explode from that point, I'm assuming. That's the bass rhythm.
Yes. Yeah, that is the bass rhythm. It's a tol drum. It's a Punjabi drum, and this is a master drum for Bhangra dancing. Like Bhangra dance can't exist for this Punjabi tol drum, and this is a drum I used when I did collaboration with Patrick Dexter from the UK.
Yeah.
And I can quickly give you a taste of that too. That collaboration too. It looks like this.
You and Patrick are in perfect harmony there. That's absolutely beautiful.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
And now I'm going to award you with a cake, Gurdeep, if I may. So first of all, do you like cake?
Oh, definitely. I like cake. Cakes they are for happy occasions. So I absolutely love it.
So what flavour cake would you like? It's a metaphorical cake, tragically. So we'll just have to talk about it, but just salivate as we think and ignite our senses.
I love carrot cake if you have.
There we go. This is a dog's toy, but it looks like it's a carrot cake. It's yours. Fine. So you get to put a cherry on the cake now. And this is stuff like now, a favourite inspirational quote that's always given you succor and pulled you towards your future. So what would you say is a favourite quote of yours?
My favorite quote is that actually this is my own quote. Am I allowed to
Yes,
use
of
my own
course.
quote? Thank you.
Definitely.
So when you are visiting your friends means other emotions, such as emotion of sadness, emotion of maybe being a little angry, emotion of feeling vulnerable or crying. So I describe them your friends because they are important to you as well. After visiting those friends, come back to your home, come back to your joy, because joy is your home, and that will bring lots and lots of healing and balance in you.
Wonderful. Thank you. And on your website, by the way, which you'll tell us about at the end, there are all sorts of, there are many, many of your quotes pertaining to joy and your philosophy. We will know exactly where to go to find that after we finish speaking. That was fantastic. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given, Gurdeep?
I like to say that we live in such a world, modern time these days.
You've frozen again for a second time. Hold the line, caller. We've temporarily lost Gurdeep. He's frozen. This freeze isn't quite so happy as the last one, but we're back shortly. Worst case scenario, he'll dial off and come back in again, and I shall be doing some cheeky editing, but we've lost you temporarily. Can you hear us, Gurdeep, come in Tokyo? Cashier number 4, please. One of the fatal flaws of being a human is you've got to wait sometimes, haven't you? He might, yes, no. Oh,
Okay.
and
Okay.
we're back.
We are back. I'll repeat this from top.
Yes, please.
When you are processing this, and when you are going through difficulties, struggles, challenges, they are valid. And during that time, try your best to adopt a positive outlook if you can. Positivity may not solve your problems, but positivity will solve the way you approach your difficulties. And probably at the end of the day, they may help solving the problems too, because when we have a positive, joyful outlook and to tackle those issues or problems, they are super helpful.
So it's a framework of positivity that retains even in dark times.
That's absolutely true. Especially during dark times, joy and positivity, they matter even more.
So it's like wherever there is darkness, there will be light or chinks of light somewhere, is what that's
Yes.
resonating with.
Yeah. That's absolutely true. Like sometimes if you're sad, take your time to be sad because sometimes we need to be sad because something big happened in our life. But be aware that after some time, resolving that moment and feeling in your heart that okay, I'm going through it, it's intense, it's difficult, but I will stick to positivity. I'll stick to joy and breathe that time, and trust in other people, trust in joy, and slowly you will notice that things they start to appear, look differently.
That's very akin to the philosophy of "and this too shall pass," the journeying of pain towards, it resolving.
That's so true.
Okay, so we're ramping up now to a bit of Shakespeare in a minute, but just before we do that, it's past the golden baton time, please. So if I may ask you, who in your network do you think would most enjoy, most appreciate, find that they really like being given a good listening to in this framework?
I will pass this golden baton to my friend Brittle Star. His full name is Stuart Reynolds, and he lives in Canada too, in Ontario, and he's very popular on social media too. And his social media name is Brittle Star, and I would like to pass it over to him.
Wonderful. And Brittle Star, can you spell that for me?
BRITTLESTAR.
Brittle Star. Forgive me, you did say that, but I was just making sure that I got that. So it would be at Brittle Star. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to furnish me with a warm introduction to him, and the golden baton will be passed. Hurrah! Thank you. Woohoo! And now, inspired by Shakespeare and all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. And by the way, just to share with you, this is a really authentic prop. This is the actual, it's not a first folio, but it's the actual complete works of Shakespeare that I bought to go to drama school, the Bristol Old Vic Theatre School, here circa 1986. So it's an authentic prop that I dug out of the cupboard, specially for us and for you. So now, inspired by Shakespeare then, how would you most like to be remembered?
I think I would like to be remembered as someone who values sadness, but who trusts joy.
Someone who valued sadness but trusted joy. That's beautiful. Just say it again, because it's worth a repeat of three, a refrain of three. The best communication skills happens in threes. Say it one more time.
I would like to be remembered as someone who values sadness but trusted joy.
Where can we find out all about you, you lovely man, Gurdeep Pandher of the Yukon, on the internet?
So to find more about my work, you can go to my website, which is gurdeep.ca, Gurdeep.ca, or you can go to my social media platforms across all my social media platforms such as Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Facebook. My first name Gurdeep and my last name Pandher. Both names, you put them together. That is my social media handle on all social media platforms. And please feel free to go there and connect me with over there too.
Lovely. As this has been your moment in the sunshine in the Good Listening To show, stories of distinction and genius, and thank you so much for everything that you've brought. Is there anything else you'd like to say, Gurdeep?
I love the structure. I love the way you structure it. You put everything one after another, and you are very clear about what's going to happen in the show, and your questions are well thought and well researched, and and the way you conduct interviews in your podcasts, I think that's marvelous. And your happy energy, your joyful energy, and the way you put it out to the world, this is amazing. I think after meeting you, I am totally in love with your show.
Oh, thank you. And I've found it a deep source of, obviously, joy talking to you as well. And thank you for saying yes, by the way, because I did get in touch with you quite left of field a few months ago, and you were so lovely. You immediately said, I'm sure I can work with you, but it'll be a few months because I'm sort of snowed under. It wasn't the expression, but I think that's a good expression. Minus 35. So, Gurdeep, my invitation now is, can you play us out with that wonderful piece of music with you and the lovely Patrick Dexter? He's a previous guest in the podcast, so do look at Patrick Dexter. He is the gorgeous cellist who was a teacher one day, went home at the closure of schools at the pandemic and started playing his cello on the cliffs of west of Ireland. So,
all right. Okay, there you go. Patrick and me together. From wilderness of the Yukon, I'm dispatching joy, hope, and positivity.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that has been the gorgeous man that is Gurdeep Pandher of the Yukon. I've been Chris Grimes. Tune in next week for some more stories from the clearing, and good night. You've been listening to the Good Listening To show here on UK Health Radio with me, Chris Grimes. Oh, it's my son.
If you've enjoyed the show, then please do tune in next week to listen to more stories from the clearing.
If you'd like to connect with me on LinkedIn, then please do so. There's also a dedicated Facebook group for the show too. You can contact me about the programme, or if you'd be interested in experiencing some personal impact coaching with me, care of my Level Up Your Impact programme, that's chris@secondcurve.uk. On Twitter and Instagram, it's
@ThatChrisGrimes.
So until next time, from me, Chris Grimes, from UK Health Radio, and from Stan,
To your good health.
and goodbye.